We're starting this new year out a little bit differently. The service today is going to look a tad bit differently. I kind of said at the beginning of the service that we weren't going to have a sermon per se today. In fact, we're going to just be having kind of an interview. And I want to introduce the person that we're going to be interviewing, talking about her experience in foster care. Her name's Tawny. If you haven't met Tawny, you need to meet her. When I talk about people who have been absolutely instrumental in this campus starting and running, Tawny is way up there on the list. Like, she is doing so much for this campus. She's been here since the beginning. She has a heart of gold. She's a servant. She's an administrator. Every area of weakness that I have, she seems to just help me, and there's a lot of them. She's incredible. And so I want to introduce Tawny, and when she's coming up here, here's what I really want us to do. I want us to give her a round of applause, okay? Because she's not someone who would like this, and so that's why we're going to do it. And so Tawny, come on up. Come on up. There it is. Yeah, standing ovation. You got a standing ovation. Yeah, Tawny. I love it. Need to meet Tawny. She does life groups. She's an awesome person. And so as you see up on the screen, we're going to be talking about Every Child. And so Every Child is an organization that helps out with the foster care system locally and statewide in Oregon. And so Tawny has a little bit of history with the foster care system. And so to start this out, Tawny, how about you just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and your husband, Jason, and what your experience with foster care has been.
After I thank you for my singing today.
Absolutely.
So anyway, my husband Jason and I met in the Army in Virginia. We met in 92 or 3. Anyway, we got married in 95 in Georgia, had our first son there. And then I was out of the military, but he was still in. We ended up in Germany, had our second child there, and then we decided to get out. And then we moved back here because my family is here. And we had our third child here, and my sister, her dream was to have an orphanage when she was a little girl, and she ended up getting into the foster care system, and she was going to adopt a sibling set, but one of them was really difficult, and she wasn't sure if it would work, and I was like, well, we will take that child because I have a heart for difficult children, because I was a difficult child, which means I was always in trouble and feeling very misunderstood. Anyway, right before we just finished our training, and she decided that she wanted to keep all the kids together. But my husband and I had heard the incredible need in our state for foster parents, and we had all the training done, so we prayed about it and decided to go forward anyway. And people that knew me well were shocked because I was not a kid person. I barely lived through my children being small. I was like, these such needy little people. Anyway, so when they found out I was in foster care, they were shocked. I was thinking when we were singing that song about the good things God does, the amazing things He does. That was something amazing that He did in our lives. Anyway, we ended up adopting one of those foster kids, and then she's a delightful handful, and so we're not doing foster care right now. We're just focusing on trying to love her. So
Yeah.
that's kind of
So pretty cool. The Moore family went from foster care to family, taking one of these kids that was a foster kid and then integrating them into the family all the way to the point of calling her daughter, which is, I think, an awesome, very, very cool thing. And so you've obviously been hands-on with DHS. You've experienced the whole training system, DHS and all of that. And so in your opinion, from a person who's been involved, what have you noticed are some of the biggest needs for kids involved in the foster care system?
Well, they have so many needs. Mostly, I think they need to be loved, and whether it's in their homes with their foster families or just in the community, most of them, their parents have been involved in drugs, and they've just been surrounded by chaos and darkness, and that's what they think is normal. So anybody that can just speak a word into their life to build them up and strengthen them is any way that we can do that is good.
Now, I know in conversations that we've had, it seems like kids are being forced to grow up a lot quicker than they really should be. And so you've shared some funny stories I think might be kind of fun to share about some cheese and some fireworks. So how about you just kind of paint the picture there?
Well, some of the kids are really wild. Like, they've had no training whatsoever. And we had one little girl that she had a headache the first like 2 or 3 days she was with us, and I finally figured out she'd been drinking like 12 sodas a day, so she was having withdrawals. And this little girl had nobody, she was 6, and nobody had been taking care of her, so she got hungry. She just go open the fridge, and I walked in, and for the first couple of days she was with us, and she had a Costco block of cheese, and she just taking bites out of it. She didn't know. And then another little boy we had, he found some fireworks I didn't even know we had.
Yeah.
He stepped out of the house, didn't know, and he was setting off fireworks in our front yard, 7:30 in the morning. There's lots of wild stories, but you never bored.
I like to think that Jason had something to do with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure he bought the fireworks.
Oh, man. So what, you've been a foster care parent. What is what have you seen Every Child, organization like Every Child, how have you seen Every Child be so useful when it comes to serving DHS? So give us a little background about what Every Child does and how you're seeing an organization like Every Child serving the needs of these kids in foster care.
Well, when we first started, we were in Medford, and I was really uncomfortable with the relationship between the foster parents and the caseworkers. It was kind of us against them sort of thing, and when Every Child came into the Valley and people started serving DHS, and some of the foster parents got involved as well, it really built a bridge between the DHS workers, because they're burnt out and frazzled and exhausted, and the foster parents are feeling that way as well. I saw it really draw them together and make them work together instead of kind of against each other.
Yeah. So I want to kind of fill us in. Some of us might be familiar with what Every Child is, but I really want to point out how incredible Every Child is. And so here's the story. So a few years back, basically the state of Oregon, from the state level, noticed that DHS in Oregon was kind of hurting, that certain needs weren't being met, that children were going unrecognized, and they weren't being taken care of the way that they ought to be. And from the state level, folks, this is incredible. From the state level, they saw that a group of people who are unashamed to be known as Christians were serving DHS kids in a Christ-like manner and making a big difference, so much so that the state of Oregon has partnered with a Christian organization saying, I don't know what you guys are doing, but whatever you Christians are doing, it's working, and so we want you to do that with us in partnership together with the state of Oregon. That is mind-boggling. Oregon is one of the few states in the country where the state has asked on a Christian organization to partner with the state. How incredible is that? That is mind-boggling. Let's clap for that. That's incredible. It's incredible. When you look at our state and everything going on with it, I think it really just shows that God is working in our state, and he's working through an organization like Every Child. And when we look biblically, Jesus had a heart for kids. He just did. When we look at James 1:27, right? Pure and undefiled religion before the Lord is serving orphans and widows in need. And I think in our context here today, when we talk about orphans, that is kids in our foster care system. It's these kids that are needy. It's these kids that are, I hate to say this, in the United States of America, hungry, that don't have a mom, that don't have a dad, that don't have a support system around them. In fact, just to kind of paint the picture a little bit more about the current state of foster care in Oregon, I want to read to you an excerpt from the Every Child website, and I think this will kind of help paint the picture a little bit. So listen to this. Last year, this is data in 2018, 11,238 children spent time in foster care in Oregon. 66.1 spent time in more than one foster home. Many were split from their siblings. If a natural disaster hit our state and children were wandering the street without someone to care for them, each of us would open our homes to help in crisis. With more than 11,000 children in foster care and more entering the system every day, we're in the midst of a natural disaster in our state. And I think when it's worded like that and when it's phrased in that way, I think it helps show the kind of disaster that is taking place in the youth of this generation. And we all know that these are souls. These little kids have value to God, and that's why it's so incredible that God is working in the state of Oregon to allow Christians to have contact with these kids. It's an incredible, incredible thing. And so, Tawny, I want to get back to you after I'm done spieling. What are some ways that we can get involved with Every Child? What are some ways that we can put some feet to our faith and start serving Every Child as they serve DHS?
Well, the cool thing about Every Child is they've already gathered all the information to know what the foster kiddos need right now at this time. And they're pretty flexible in that they adapt with the needs of DHS and with the needs of the kids. So we passed out the little cards. You guys can see some of the ministries on there. But if you just want more information too, you can put your contact stuff down and somebody will call you and talk to you. But you know, you can go and sit with the kiddos when they get brought into DHS. So while the caseworker's trying to find them a home, you can play games with them and stuff. There's training for that. They don't just cut you loose, but they'll train you in whatever ministry you need if you need training. And then there's just donating things, picking them up for rides and taking them to doctor's appointments, things like that. But as a foster parent, it's so nice to have people come alongside you, because these kids don't have aunts and uncles and grandparents either that you can rely on. So they need the whole family, community.
Yeah.
So it's just a good way to find out what fits where you're at and what you can do.
Yeah, and I also want to point out something very special about Every Child, and that is this. It's that no matter where you are in life, no matter what phase of life you're in, no matter what socioeconomic background you come from, no matter how much money you have in your bank account, literally Every Child makes it incredibly easy for anyone to get involved and start serving those kids. So let's say you have one night a month where you're like, okay, I can dedicate one night a month. Well, good news, there's Foster Parents Night Out. It's an event that happens at River Valley once a month where the parents who are fostering these kids can drop their kids off and they get 4 hours of free childcare. And you play with the kids, and you feed them pizza, you play games with them. Maddie and I used to volunteer there. It's an awesome thing, and it's a time for foster families to get a break. Let's say that you love Operation Christmas Child. You know, when we do the shoe boxes, good news. You can do Operation Christmas Child every single day of the year because they have something called welcome boxes, and these are pretty awesome. You see, when a kid is being brought to DHS, oftentimes they're coming with tears in their eyes and pain in their heart, because they just saw mom and dad get taken off to jail. They just saw mom and dad, going through a horrific, bad situation. And so these kids are coming to DHS in a compromised situation. And what a welcome box is a box that they open up, and there's teddy bears, there's puzzles, there's Rice Krispies, there's Capri Suns. And it brings them a smile. It gives them a smile. And so the point in all of this is that no matter who you are, no matter what you do, there is a way to love on these kids. There is a way. You can drive them to and from appointments. If you're like, all I want to do is sit in the car and drive, you can drive them from visitations. The opportunities are endless. And so Every Child is a great organization. And to make it even better, to sweeten the deal even more, recently, Teresa Matz, who is the wife of our local outreach pastor, Frank Matz, he serves as the assistant out in Redwood. She just got the job as coordinating Every Child in Southern Oregon. And so this is something that we at River Valley are all about. We are all about this. It's in-house per se. Leadership is in-house. We're passionate. And so if you want to get involved, it's very easy to do that. You can fill out these cards, and at the very end of the service, if you want to hand them to myself, Tawny, Maddie, or one of the people in the back at the sound booth, please do that. And so with all that being said, that's all what's happening locally. And so now I kind of want to transition us from looking at what's happening locally in Southern Oregon to what's happening globally. But before we do that, could we thank Tawny for being up here on stage with us? Let's give her a round of applause. So here at River Valley, we also are doing work globally. Pastor Rod Showbrook is overseeing our global outreach, and there's a heavy emphasis right now that we want to focus on of what is taking place in Uganda, in Africa, the country of Uganda. And so we're going to run a video, about a 10-minute video. In the video, you're going to hear some testimonials of some people who've been able to go to Uganda, and then also you're going to hear from Tom Criswell, who is a part of our elder board, who's really kind of spearheading the ministry over there. And then you're going to hear from a guy named Collins. And Collins is us. He's one of us, and he is an awesome guy. He lives in Uganda, and he serves those kids there. And so if you want to turn your attention to the screens, you can go ahead and watch this video of everything happening in Uganda.
Just being in Uganda and interacting with these kids was so encouraging, but one of the things that really stood out to me was just the joy that they all have, especially the ones that know Jesus as their Savior, because they know that they are going to be with him forever.
Getting to spend time with the students at the Sunshine School impacted me heavily because I formed such strong relationships with them, and getting to hear their testimonies as far as how Sunshine has impacted their lives entirely and has even exposed them to the gospel and exposed them to getting salvation. And the fact that River Valley is pouring into that community and showing them the gospel and saving souls and doing God's work, it's such kingdom work.
I just wanted to also say thank you to all of the church members who are participating in this work. You know, there are 6 rescue units, and you guys do so much giving, and your hearts are so big. So thank you for that.
I have supported other orphans through other organizations, and I still do. One of the things that breaks my heart is that when they reach age 18, it's done, and it's like goodbye, the next one's in place. Our church, I am so proud, does not do that, but stays with them until hopefully these people, because they're now young people, can support themselves.
God has done miraculous things there, and he's going to continue with your help.
About 11 years ago that Shirley and I got asked by Camille Hadlack, who is one of our missionaries over in Africa, who was doing this work, has been doing this work for a long time. Hey, would you guys come to Uganda and spend 3 months with us? We'd like you to take care of the farm, take care of one of our rescue units with 200 kids, and we've got a Bible college here we'd like you to kind of look after. And we thought, yeah, why wouldn't we want to do that? What could possibly go wrong in a situation like that? We did do that, and I will just tell you at the end of that trip for 3 months, I remember Shirley and I sharing together at the end of an evening, wouldn't it be incredible if one day we'd be able to have a ministry here at River Valley and to utilize some of the very students, the kids that we were working with, the orphan kids we were working with, and the kids at the college, to have them as part of a staff doing the work that we do over there. Little did we know. I want to introduce you to my friend, Mr. Collins Omunde. He is our national director over in Uganda. Known him since he's a little guy, and he is my brother, he is my son, and we're just so glad to have him here with us.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here with you today and just to share a little bit about what we are doing in Uganda and how much God has been a blessing to us through you, especially River Valley Church. We have about 6 different units in different places in Uganda, and out of the 6 units, we have about 1,000 children that are sponsored in the program, and about 1,000 and 1,500 almost benefit through the program that we are running in Uganda. One of our bases, which is in the northwestern part of Uganda, happens to be at the border between Congo and South Sudan, and a lot of kids getting assistance. We've been able to start one program that we are calling COP, which is concentrating on practical education. One of the challenges that we found out is that most of our children, when they finish high school, and some of them are not even able to finish high school, and so they drop out of school, and they didn't have a means of how to get connected into the community. And so we came up with a program of giving them skills, training them on hands-on. And so we started a tailoring training, which runs for 6 months. And after the 6 months, they are able to graduate. We are able to pick out the best and give them a machine and startup material to be able to provide services in the community. And this December, we had about 40 graduates that passed through the program. We are grateful that they're in the community. Some of them actually are being supported by the government in different areas to start their own businesses. We've also started a mobile clinic. That's something just we launched about 2 months ago. We're able to reach out to people in the community and give specialized medical treatment to some of the people who cannot be able to access medical care in the hospital. And so we have a special nurse and a nutritionist who gets to speak to the people in the villages and just share with them the gospel and also meet some of their physical needs that they would have gone to meet in the clinics in the different villages. In Koboko, we also happen to have the Pelson's Clinic, which is taking care of the eyes. We have children coming in the clinic and adults. And like I mentioned, that this place is located in a border town. And so we have people coming in from as far as South Sudan, DR Congo, and since we opened in July, we have more than about 1,000 people who've been able to be checked and received reading glasses, and some have been given referrals because they've come up with cases that we couldn't handle, and so they've been given referrals to different hospitals in the country. And so we've seen a lot of stuff taking place with the clinic. We also have what we call Free to Be Her. Free to Be Her is a program that we launched for girls. In most of our community, most of the girls do not have opportunity to access things like sanitary towels. And so in most of the cases when girls get to that session, they either stay home and can't be able to go to school. And so through this program, we give out sanitary towels to our girls, and they're able to stay in school and have no shame going to school and just get an education through that. And so that's been a blessing for us to be able to do that. We're also having a radio program. Every morning, we have a gentleman called Michael, and through us, we're able to work with a Christian radio station in Koboko. He goes to preach there, and many people are calling in, and his messages have been a blessing to the community and to the neighboring towns within the area who are able to listen to the program. We're also having a school, like we mentioned, Sunshine Christian High School. We have about 450 students now. When we started with about 120. Right now, we are at 450. And we've seen amazing things happening in the lives of the students. As a Christian school, we emphasize on what the government has given us as a curriculum, but also we emphasize on raising the students in a godly way and in a Christian way. And so we have a chapel that we just finished, that you just saw a picture of, which we just finished constructing this November. And we're able to have discipleship programs for our students. We're able to have a chapel for our students every Monday, which is compulsory for the students. And about 100 students this year have come to the Lord, and they've been going through discipleship training. And I think last time when we had a team from River Valley, they were able to take about 25 students for baptism. We praise the Lord for that. We've also had about our scholarship program that we are able to take some students. We're not able to take in very many because of the funds, but every year we give 2 students, a boy and a girl, an opportunity to continue with their education. And so through that, we've also seen a lot of students who are getting into different colleges. And we've had about 1 student who has graduated, and another one, I think some of them will be graduating. Each year we'll be having a couple of students graduating. And so many times, people ask me, why do you guys do what you're doing? The bottom line is, just like we've had this evening, is about sharing with people the love of Christ. An education, meeting physical needs of these people is not as important as them having to know that their lives have been met with Jesus, having a relationship with Jesus, and having them to know that one day they'll have an eternity with Christ. That's the most important thing for us. And as we work in the communities, we share with people the message of Christ. We try to reach out to the people because we work in different communities. We have Muslims in our communities. We have all sorts of people. And they get to embrace us because they know what we believe in. They know what we stand for. And it's always a blessing for us. And so I'm happy this evening to be here with you, just to share some of the work that you're doing. You guys have been a blessing to us, and we are blessed to be partners together as we serve Christ. Thank you so much.
Now, I want to kind of fill in a little bit of really just how incredible the work is in Uganda. So I want to specifically highlight the Sunshine School. The Sunshine School, as he was saying, has over 450 students. That's, I believe, bigger than Cascade Christian as a school. Is that correct? Yeah, bigger than Cascade Christian. This is no joke. And these kids are hearing and learning about Jesus. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, the favor that God has given River Valley Church, Tom Criswell, and Collins in the country of Uganda. Also, you saw Dr. Pelson up there. Dr. Pelson brought the first ever eyeglass clinic to this area. People were literally blind, and through the ministry of River Valley, through the ministry that you guys are serving and a part of, people are literally being able to see. And in the process of being able to see, they're also able to hear the love that Jesus has for them. And so this is a special ministry. And I honestly, I couldn't be more excited to be a part of a church that isn't content just sitting and gathering on Sundays, but has its arrows out, doing what Acts 1:8 told us to do, reach the people of Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth, Uganda. That's what we're about, and that's what we're believing. And so I want to take the next few minutes, and you have these Every Child contact cards, and you saw on your chairs these Kids in Uganda things. And I don't want to tell you and force and try to guilt trip. This is all of the Lord. You know, we're told in the Bible to be generous givers. And the truth is that whether we like it or not, we've been given a lot. All of us. I mean, just an incredible amount of love and graciousness and generosity that we've all been given in our lives. And I think a great way to show that is by supporting these kids. But for the next probably about 2 minutes, Michael and the band, they're just going to be playing. And I want to ask you to take some time and just pray. Pray for these kids. Pray for our kids locally. Pray for the kids that are in broken situations. And I think a good maybe way to pray for these kids is first and foremost thanking the Lord for the kids you know who aren't in this situation. And then secondly, praying for these kids. And then thirdly, praying that these kids would know Jesus. Praying that they would know Jesus. And so take some time, consider sponsoring these kids. If you want, take one of these. You can fill it out, take it to our church office. You can hang that on your fridge, and you can be praying for Razil Ondo and just lifting them up. And so let's take some time and let's ask the Lord to just till our hearts and compel us to be generous.